Hello, in this video we are going to be just giving you an overview of the skeleton model right here. We're not going to go into too much details, regarding the skull, the arm, or the legs, because we have separate videos for that. Our focus will just be mostly on the rib cage and a few other details. So starting at the top, of course, we have our skull, right, the craniums and the facial bones. And moving down here, we can see the rib cage, along with the vertebral column, as well as your pelvic girdle. So all these structures that I just mentioned is part of your axial skeleton. And everything else that hangs onto the axial skeleton, such as the arm, the legs, they will be part of the appendicular skeleton. Let's take a closer look at the rib cage. Here we have our collarbones, which actually, if you look at it from the top, it forms almost like a S shape that goes a little bit backwards to make a connection with your shoulder blades. So the proper terminology for the collarbone is actually clavicle, and the connection it makes with the shoulder blade right here, that's your scapula. Okay, so scapula and the clavicle together actually kind of help stabilize your shoulder right here with the ball and socket joint that you form with the humerus and the scapula right here. On the anterior end of the clavicle, it makes a connection with your sternum. Okay, so the sternum actually has three parts to it. At the very top here, it is called the manubrium. The middle portion is just called the body. And at the bottom here, we have a notch that's called the xiphoid process. The xiphoid process is where the diaphragm is going to be making an attachment to. Of course, the diaphragm helps you breathe. Back to the manubrium here, that's where you're gonna have the clavicle making a connection, as well as the first pair of your ribs and part of the second ribs. Talking about the ribs, there are a total of 12 pairs of ribs, and rib number 1 to 7, we call them true ribs because they have their own costal cartilage that connects it directly to the sternum. Okay, so let's take a quick count here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So these are all true ribs. They all have direct connection to the sternum through their own cartilage. The rest of them, number 8 to number 12, they do not have a direct connection, and some of them actually don't have connection to the sternum at all. We call them false ribs. So number 8 to 12 are collectively known as false ribs. And if you look at, which was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, number 8 right here, you can see the cartilage actually connects with the cartilage of the 7th rib before going to the sternum, okay? And at the very bottom here, we have number 12 and number 11. We call them floating ribs. Floating ribs are also part of the false ribs. They do not have any cartilage, and they're not going to be making any connections with your sternum. At the back of these ribs, you can see they originate from the thoracic portion of your backbone. Okay? So the back vertebral column or backbone, it's made up of different individual bones. They have similar characteristics and structures, but they do tend to get bigger as we move down to support the weight of everything that's above, right? So in the neck here, we have these cervical bones. There are 7 of them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And the first 2 is actually kind of special, which we're gonna move to another model here quickly. That's C1 and C2 right here. C1 is called the atlas, and C2 is called the axis. And you can see from the top here, atlas and axis, this little protrusion that's coming out is actually from C2, and it goes through the opening here in C1, and that allows you to shake your head from side to side. It's actually, we call that a pivot joint. On the top of your atlas, you can see there are 2 grooves right here. That's actually where the occipital condyle of the skull, of the occipital bone, is going to sit right on it, and that allows nodding motion of the head. So back to the big model right here. Following the 7 cervical bones, we have the 12 thoracic vertebra for plural. And once again, that's where the ribs are going to be originating at the back. And you can see here, perhaps on the side, that there is these projections that are coming out of the vertebral column. You can actually feel these ridges if you just kind of run your finger down the back of your neck, and these are called spinous processes, and you can see they have a very sharp angle as we go down the backbone, and it kind of locks your backbone in a way that you can only bend forward and not backwards. Otherwise, it's too much instability and you can hurt yourself quite easily. Further down, we have 5 more bones right here. We call them the lumbar vertebra, and they're bigger in size. And you can see that these vertebrae are actually separated by the intervertebral discs. Okay? This is going to be there for stability as well as reducing wear and tear and friction as we bend forward and backwards. As a person ages, sometimes these discs might slip out and the person would experience what's called a pinched nerve, because you can see in between the 2 vertebrae here, that's where your spinal nerve is coming out of. Okay? And the opening where the spinal nerve comes out of is called the intervertebral foramen. So as you can imagine, if the intervertebral disc is to become thinner or if it slips out, then the bones will be compressing on the nerve, and that could create these tingly or pinching sensation in the legs in some cases. Right? It depends on where the nerve is being pinched, right? So further down, we can see the sacrum and the tailbone, the coccyx, which again is covered in another video. And I think that's pretty much everything that is on this model. We have another video for the leg, so be sure to check that out if you haven't already. Thank you.